My guest today is Gustavo Muñoz Castro. Gustavo is a former Microsoft senior engineer turned real estate agent turned inside sales guru. He runs one of the largest inside sales teams for real estate in North America with 65 agents strong, making about 50,000 outbound dials a day. Wow. They also set about 100 appointments with buyers and sellers every day, mostly from Facebook leads. Interesting. Gustavo's business earns 7 figures and has over 600 active clients. Gustavo, welcome to the Go for Launch podcast.
Hey there, Brandon. Appreciate it. And I'm very impressed. You killed it with my name. Did a great job. Wow.
Well,
good job.
Lots of Spanish in school. So
awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well
done.
Practicar mucho.
Yeah, I can tell you've been exposed to the language. Awesome.
Un poquito, sí. All right. Well, listen, we always ask first on this podcast, where are you in the world today? So I want to know because it's important to know.
Actually, today I'm in Houston, Texas, but I usually go between the U.S. and Mexico. I'm a binational person. I spend my time commuting between San Diego, California, Houston, and Mexico. So yeah.
Okay. Wow. Really cool places. My last guest was in Dallas. So
sweet.
2 Texans in a row. At least temporarily, you're a Texan. And
yeah.
And like my last guest, you avoided the snowstorm of 2021 so far.
Yeah, exactly. It was 80 degrees almost yesterday here, so it's pretty nice.
Nice. Yeah, you don't have to worry about ice in the car when it's 80 degrees. That's excellent. So let me ask you about this, Gustavo. You know a lot about real estate agents and investors and how they get massive ROI from Facebook leads. How can they do that?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Brandon. And, as everyone knows, I know you talk about this a lot, people's attention is on social media. That's where a lot of people are on it. You've got something like 200 million active users in the U.S. alone. Across the world, it's billions of people are on Facebook. It's where people's attention is at. It's probably the preferred platform for interruption marketing, right? Interruption marketing. It's where their eyeballs are there. They're watching baby pictures. They're watching what their friend posted, what they ate for lunch. They're interacting with this platform, and it gives us the opportunity to serve them ads, right? It's just, hey, well, in the middle of those baby pictures, boom. In the middle of this political post you're fighting about, here's an interesting, a sponsored post. Why don't you check this out? They're scrolling your news feed, and what we want you to do is stop for about 2 seconds. That's it. That's the goal. And get your attention. Get your attention. So I think the folks that are getting the massive ROI from platforms like Facebook understand that scenario. They get it. They know. You've got to get them to stop scrolling with their thumb, because most of these folks are on mobile devices now, especially in the US. They're on mobile devices. Stop scrolling. Give me not even 10 seconds, 2 seconds of your time. And let me tell you what an awesome thing I've got here for you. That's it. That's in a nutshell. That's what Facebook is unbelievably good at, even right now. Because more and more people advertise on Facebook every single day. More and more people kind of figure this out. But a lot of them don't do it properly. And I think the number one issue is they don't understand that scenario. To give you an idea, what a real estate agent typically wants, that typical real estate agent and investor, they want to buy the high intent lead. They want to buy the person that's browsing Zillow.com, browsing Realtor.com, looking for homes, actively searching for the next property they want to purchase. They love talking to those leads. Mm-hmm. And they love because they convert at a high level to appointment. That's great. That's awesome. Those leads are also adequately priced to that level of quality, right? Mm-hmm. In my market, Seattle, that's my home market. I don't live in Seattle anymore. I didn't appreciate the weather. I like sunnier places. But I spent 10 years in Seattle, right? When I worked for Microsoft, and I became a real estate agent up there. I worked that market for years. One Zillow lead in that market, if you can even purchase one, because they're always sold out, one Zillow lead is $200 up to $300. One lead. But we can convert those leads. My team could convert those to appointment 40% of the time, almost 50% of the time. It was, I don't want to say money in the bank, but it was a pretty high quality lead source compared to others. It was adequately priced to that. I would generate a new client off of Zillow, probably cost me $2,000-$3,000 to generate that deal. Not bad if my average commission in Seattle is in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. Pretty good deal, pretty good ROI. Anyway, right. For Facebook, it's very different. The economics kind of get turned on their heads. A good conversion rate to appointment on Facebook is maybe 10% in that range. 10% of those leads want to talk to you. They want to meet. And even if they want to talk to you and meet, the time that they're going to take to purchase is 6 to 12 months on average.
Wow.
6 to 12 months on average. So for a lot of agents, that transition between the high intent, hot Zillow or Realtor.com lead to the Facebook space is hard. It's really difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
They feel that the leads are terrible. They never pick up. They're not ready to go. They don't want to work with me. The teams that do this at the highest level understand that it's a 6 to 12 month process. And if you approach it with that kind of mindset, you're going to win massively with social media because the cost is way, way, way lower than some of these higher intent lead platforms. You can generate buyer leads on Facebook for real estate for $1 a lead.
Okay.
Pennies a lead, right? So the economics favor the buyer if you understand the scenario better.
So one of the things you're saying there is people have to have patience, which many people don't, especially in real estate, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're thinking everything goes quickly and a lot of markets are hot right now and you don't want to wait 6 months, but patience. It's like, watching Cobra Kai, Mr. Miyagi, patience, Danielson, right? Like you have to be patient. Well, we've been talking a lot about real estate and Facebook ads. And does this also apply to other industries in your experience in terms of, things that long lead times or other things that people are selling?
So for
Facebook.
It changes because it depends on your sales cycle. Like real estate is probably one of the longest, maybe real estate and corporate enterprise sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 12-month kind of a process when the lead comes in. Even on some of these high intent websites, the Zillows and the Realtor.coms, it can be a 3 to 6 month sales cycle when they come in to when they actually end up purchasing. It's just that they're just more motivated. And again, 6 months to 12 months is half the time. It's actually considerable change in time frame. For e-commerce, for folks doing services online, for folks doing offline services, that sales cycle can be 7 days. Mm-hmm. That sales cycle can be 30 days. So if you have a sales cycle that is in the days and weeks and you're not doing Facebook, I don't know what you're doing, right? Because you have to get out there because you're going to you have the opportunity to have much greater success with those Facebook leads because probably, likely, possibly, you can get some of that great ROI because Facebook is still not, this is amazing to me, it is still not the dominant advertising platform in the US. It's not even close, right? Television, billboards, banner ads, the companies, large companies, medium-sized companies, they're still spending most of their budgets there, right? Unbelievably, right? They're mostly spending their budgets there. It's not on social media, and it's not yet on Facebook.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, because Facebook obviously owns Instagram. Are you a big fan of Instagram as well for the ads? And if that's the case, are you looking at doing 70-30 Facebook to Instagram, or what kind of split are you carving out to do ads on Instagram?
So Instagram's interesting. So we do a lot of this kind of testing. And then this is where, again, I'm going to go back to where I know the most, which is real estate. We found that if you're generating lead-based advertising, right? Pay-per-click, pay-per-lead advertising, on Facebook, it works much better on Facebook. It's a platform that is more native. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. It might be the age group. It might be the format of the information because Instagram is much more of a visual platform. Mm-hmm. Instagram skews much young. Well, nowadays it's probably more balanced, but it tends to skew much younger than Facebook. So it's definitely a different piece. When you're generating leads, Facebook far outperforms Instagram in that sense. I think, but again, a lot of realtors have followings on Instagram. Instagram is tremendous to build brand. Instagram is great to get in front of a younger audience. It's great. It's just not a great lead generation platform, a paid advertising platform. We haven't found the same, not even close, the same kind of results. We have hundreds of campaigns that we manage. I can't think of one that is even 50% Instagram, right? It's mostly Facebook because it's the path of least resistance. If you want someone's name, number, and email, Facebook is the best, easiest, most efficient way to get it, even now. But I do see folks killing it on Instagram. It's just not with the paid ads.
Got it. Now with Facebook, do you see most of your folks coming from desktop, mobile, or what's the mix?
Oh wow, it's something like 80% mobile.
Wow.
At this point.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not even close. And I haven't broken this down by demographic. I kind of assume there might be a certain demographic that's still going to be browsing on their machine, but it's 80% mobile and increasing every year. It's crazy.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about the top kind of Facebook campaigns that people should be thinking about running now, because there's lots of options and some people get into it and go, oh my gosh, it's kind of overwhelming. Where should I start?
Yeah, so you're always thinking about, and it goes back to your objective, right? Because that's how, in fact, Facebook lays it out this way. What's your goal? I mean, that's how they start the campaign. What do you want out of this, right? Do you want traffic? Do you want, engagement, right? You want a lot of comments, a lot of likes, or do you want conversions? So the kind of campaign that we run every single day for hundreds and hundreds of clients are conversion-focused campaigns, also known as lead generation campaigns.
Okay.
So
stop for a second and tell people what that means if they're not sure what your verbiage is there. Conversion.
Absolutely.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, 100%. So Facebook understands their platform, unbelievably well, right? And they know they want you to help them. They want to understand what you want because they know how to serve people that are going to go to your landing page, like a traffic campaign. They know how to serve your ad to people that are going to comment and interact with it and like it. They know how to serve your ad to people that will give you their information, their name, number, and email because they're interested in your service. So they want to know what's your ultimate goal, right? What do you actually want out of that campaign so they can give you the right options, they can tweak it the right way, and you have a higher chance of success if you kind of tell them what it is you want, right? Number one. So of those different high-level objectives, the one for real estate that we've seen work the best is conversions, focusing on conversions, focusing on leads.
All right.
Give us people's name, number, and email. That's what we want, right? We want to be able to reach out to them and interact with them, right? And within that category, it's the lead generation type of campaigns because those give us the information right away. It's very easy. It's very easy for them. I don't know if you've clicked on an ad recently. There's an instant fill out. You don't even have to put in your name, number.
Going to ask you about that. Yeah, because in the past, a lot of people would send you off to a landing page where you had to fill out a different form, but now it's built in. You can talk about that a little bit more in terms of how people can get that option in their ads where people can literally just click a button and it pulls their information straight in.
It is a default setting. So if you go in there and you create a conversion-based campaign for leads, generating leads, and you fill everything out and you target, let's say, a particular city, Seattle, Washington, it's also another thing that's important for folks that are doing this. There's something called the special ads category. So real estate, employment, financial services, you got to tell Facebook, hey, this is a special ads campaign, a special ads category. There's some restrictions that go in there, right? It's like a government mandated thing. It's important. If you don't do it, you will get your account disabled.
Right.
I guarantee it. So definitely do that, right? Because it's a self identification process. But they do it to save time. They will go and check if you're running a real estate ad that isn't, and they will shut you down. Anyways, so you select that category, you target a city, and if you do everything by default, Brandon, you will get an instant lead form created, lead form, which means they just click on the button and they send you the information. So that has pros and cons. That has pros and cons.
All right. What are those? What are the pros?
Yeah, the pros is very easy to set up. It's very easy. You can be up and running. You can just Google or search on YouTube how to set this up, and you'll be up and running in an hour, right? You've got your ad going, something basic just to get out there. And you'll generate leads within 24 hours. You're going to get people clicking on this ad, and it's going to serve it up, and it's probably going to work fine because you're generating leads. That's a pro. It's very quick to set up, and you get leads almost immediately. The cons is that you can get a lot of unqualified people in the pipeline. That's the con. And this applies to whether it's real estate, e-commerce, any kind of industry. You're always balancing how many people you want to come through your funnel versus the quality of people you want to come through your funnel. And this might be very different if your price point is $5 versus, for real estate, $250,000 to $500,000, right? It matters a lot. Maybe if you have a really low price point, who cares, right? Get people in the pipeline. It doesn't really matter. Everyone can purchase this. It's not that big a deal. For real estate, it's a big deal, the qualification of a person. You don't just want someone that mistakenly clicked on it. You don't just want someone that is unemployed. You don't just want someone that's outside the country. You don't want just someone that by mistake saw your ad. The algorithm isn't perfect, and they came through your funnel. They cost you time, money, and energy, and there's no chance they're going to purchase a home. So that's a trade-off. Really easy to set up and get leads. And let's say you're a victim of your own success. I've had campaigns that we're servicing. They generate 100 leads a week, like 100 inquiries in a single week. There is no real estate agent on planet Earth that is going to be able to call everybody even once.
Right.
If they're responding to you, respond back in a timely manner. And it's all about that instant gratification, right? So you're setting yourself up for failure. In that case, the example I just gave, I would rather that agent send them to the landing page, right? Or even easier, Facebook lets you put it in the lead form. Put some questionnaires in the lead form itself. It's the easiest thing to do. Put some questions in there. Hey, what's your time frame for buying a home?
Right.
What's your budget for buying a home? Are you pre-qualified yet? Are you currently employed? I mean, there's a lot of things you can throw out there to create a little bit of friction, and that's gonna eliminate a lot of the tire kickers,
right.
A lot of the people that aren't qualified immediately, right? So in that example I gave, instead of 100 random people clicking on your ad, maybe that agent should talk to 20 people that are the most qualified, the one they can actually get in touch with, reach out to, and qualify on the phone or over text message. That's more common every day. So that's kind of the kind of trade-off that every business needs to understand. Do you want a lot of cheap, low quality leads, or you're willing to pay a little bit more and get leads that are more qualified kind of further down in the funnel?
Right. Now, have you guys experimented with any of the sort of messenger bot back end of those Facebook ads? And yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely have.
Okay.
And for me, I kind of group them all into that, I guess that friction, that pre-qualification kind of bucket. For me, if you put questions in the lead form, if you send them to a landing page, or if you put a bot, because the bots, what they do is they qualify the lead. They're going to send them it's a little more interactive. It's more, it's a little bit of a better experience for the consumer sometimes. They can still tell it's a bot in most cases, by the way. So, I guess it's a two-edged sword, but there's automation there. They get that instant response immediately, and they're going to ask them these questions. All of those are great at qualification. What they're not really good at is in conversion. If you put a self-service book my own appointment there, your conversion to appointment drops by about half, versus a real person texting, following up, calling them.
Okay.
That's just the name of the game. And maybe this is different. This might actually vary a lot by industry. I think this does, because I see a lot of e-commerce stores have a fully automatic funnel. Like some of these, it lends itself more to automation because it's a $20 purchase, a $100 purchase maybe. So it's not that big of a deal. For a $500,000 purchase, people kind of expect that interaction. They still do. They want more information. They want to be educated. They want to talk to a real person. And real estate is a little bit unique in that sense, I believe.
That's great advice. So really for the smaller priced items, the volumes type of stuff, maybe that 100% automation can work in Facebook ads. But what you're saying is for the bigger ticket items and even consulting and things like that, you should probably try to get that person's information and then very quickly get in touch with them personally by email, by phone, etc. So that's great advice. Well, Gustavo, a lot of people are still skeptical about online leads for some reason. But I know you're not, obviously. What do you like most about online leads, and why do you think that they don't suck?
Yeah. So, and I love that term because, that's the number one objection I think we hear, from real estate agents, from folks that are generating online leads, and they're not having the success that they expect. Hey, Gus, the leads suck, man. What's going on? I've tried Facebook. Though. That's awful. That's terrible.
Yeah. Everybody, I've tried Facebook, and they probably just dabbled in it a couple times, spent a little bit of money, not a lot, didn't get any results, and then therefore they think it sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. And typically, and this is almost it's almost formulaic, it's almost cliche. They boosted some of their posts. They put some ads out there saying, hey, if you want to buy or sell, use me, I'm Gus, I'm the best. And the big picture of their face and the ad, and it's kind of unfortunately, it's kind of a pattern that I see. And people kind of assume that that's not useful. So number one, kind of touching on what I mentioned at the very beginning, understand the platform, understand the medium, right? Understand that, yes, the consumer is not on Facebook looking for homes, not typically, right? That's rare. That's not the intent. You want to get their attention. And to get any chance at getting their attention, they don't want to know about you, Brandon. They don't want to know how awesome Brandon is. They don't. They really don't care. They don't care how many certifications you have, how many homes you sold yesterday. The consumer could not care less. They want to know what's in it for them. And I know that's kind of like an obvious thing when you're talking about marketing, but it's the most overlooked part of the ad. Like, what is in it for them? The consumer in the real estate scenario, they want to see homes, right? In most parts of the U.S., we're in the hottest sellers market in the last decade, right? So if you're talking about inventory, like how to get homes, access to off-market properties, a super way to compete in these multiple offer situations, you're going to get people's attention that way. What is your secret sauce? What do you bring to the table? Why do they have to stop what they're doing and call you right away? Give them a reason to do that. That's unbelievably important. And the teams are doing this. It just seems so obvious, Brandon. It's not obvious. It's actually, you have to give it some thought. You have to experiment a little bit with your marketplace, because not every market's the same, but most of the U.S. is in a seller's market. Put yourself in those shoes. What is a buyer anxious about? What are their fears? What are their concerns? What do they need information on, right? What is that? And in marketing terms, it's called a lead magnet. And this applies to any industry. What's your lead magnet? What do people want to tear the door down to get from you that only you can provide? What is that? You can call it unique value proposition, unique selling proposition. Doesn't really matter. But what is that awesome thing that you can give them that's going to make them click on that ad, right?
Yeah.
And more importantly, once you actually come into contact with them, what's going to drive them to meet you in person? You have to continue with that. We call it the hook. What's your hook? The teams that do have, they are killing it with Facebook leads. No coincidence, they have a killer hook, like a sexy, awesome VIP buyer program. Access to those. They have an off-market property list. I'd love to share this with you, Brandon, but we should probably meet in person because this is super secret. It's so secret I can't even talk about it on the phone. I'll have buyers turn down my door. When can we meet to show you this to you, right? So all of those things add on top. It's not just the ad. You can run the best ad ever. And if you don't have some kind of an awesome hook to actually bring them through the door, you're going to be stuck, maybe messaging them back and forth for a few months. So all of that adds up for you to be able to be successful with these online leads. So that sexy hook is unbelievably important, and being responsive, right? Again, remember, the consumer is on their phone when they're reaching out to you. When anything they do on this device, Brandon, they don't expect a call the next day. They prefer an immediate response. Mm-hmm. They like that. They expect that. They prefer that.
Yeah.
And especially on the younger audiences, they don't even want you to call. Like, I don't use this thing to talk, man. This is my messaging platform. Message me and I will message you back. Yep. That's kind of what they prefer. So understand the consumer, understand their expectation. Because if you do, you're never going to say, oh, these leads suck. No. You're going to get it. You're going to be plugged into the platform and understanding the consumer.
All great points. Love what you're saying there. And I think you have a button on your website that says speed to lead. I'm all about that too. Well, we've been talking about ads, which obviously, you made the point so well, Gustavo, that people have to understand the platform. They shouldn't just go and hit that boost button. To me, that's like, I tell people, it's like the Staples easy button. That's so easy because Facebook is just going to take your money. It's like going to the slot machines. No, what you want to do is figure out how to play blackjack, which is, learning the ads platform, because that's when you get deeper into the targeting, all the various ways you could target people, including retargeting, uploading your own customer lists and things like that. So get beyond that boost button and get more involved in it. If you can't do that, then get somebody like myself who, you can hire, or Gustavo 100%. Works with a very specific vertical like real estate agents. If you're trying to penetrate and get more clients, then work with somebody like Gustavo who knows what they're talking about. But beyond ads, I'm really impressed because you also have an email list with over 2,000 subscribers. You also have your own Facebook group dedicated to real estate marketing with over 1,600 members and growing every day. And what I want to know, Gustavo, is how did you start growing an email list and your Facebook group? How have you gotten to this point where you've got, thousands of people on both?
Awesome. Well, thanks for asking. I think that's the first time anyone's ever asked that. So that's awesome that you noticed that. My Facebook group is 2,500 people today.
Nice.
I think that's a little bit out of date. And here's the thing. When I first started that newsletter and the Facebook group, I told myself, I'm not going to run ads for this, right? Mm-hmm. That's another easy way to generate a lot of subscribers, a lot of engagement. And, for ads work great for lead generation. Ads for followers, for group members, they tend to be very low intent, very low interaction, very low engagement. Mm. And Facebook loves engagement. And that's what they really like. And you're not going to get pointers. You're not going to get people to open up your emails. I get a 20% open rate on my newsletter. which I think is amazing. Because and MailChimp tells me that for my industry, that's awesome. All those people I generated organically, right? We're not running ads to those platforms because I want engagement. I want to create audiences and I want that interaction. So now we're kind of running into a little bit of the organic side of these platforms, and it's unbelievably powerful, right? If you combine an awesome organic content-based strategy with ads, and then what you just talked about, the retargeting, you go nuclear, right? Those are WMD level of weapons you have to boost your business, because these you're really utilizing the platform to its fullest extent at that point. My strategy, just being 100% transparent with you, has been adding as much value as possible to my audience. Knowing who my audience is, number one, knowing what their fears, desires, goals are, using my expertise, which is about lead conversion, lead generation, specifically for real estate. But even within real estate, you've got sub-audiences, loan officers for real estate, retail real estate agents. You've got real estate investors, and you have real estate marketing agency owners. There's 4 sub-audiences, okay, right? I drill down into that level of my audience, and I speak to them about about their own lead generation, about how their struggles with lead conversion and ads and the special ad category, and building teams and hiring telemarketers and hiring buyers agents, generating seller leads. Right now everyone is talking about how do I get more sellers because the market is so starved for inventory. I'm always talking about what they need. I'm always kind of plugged into that audience, and that is how I've been able to scale both of those. My organically built newsletter that gets 20. Some of my emails still get 35%. That's not typical, but when I really hit it with my email, my copy's on point, my title is on point, my content is awesome, I'm going to get 35% open rates on those emails, which is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
For that size list is pretty awesome. And I still get about 70% of my Facebook group is engaging every 30 days. 70% of those 2,100 people are engaging, because I really, I'm very intentional with speaking to their hopes, dreams, fears, and concerns.
Well, you just said all the magic words there. But the key to it is, yes, you could just put your credit card in Facebook and do ads and run that all day. But if you make the personal connection with your audience and you take the time to do that, dipping in and out of Facebook group or writing personal emails or responding to those emails to them, that's an amazing thing. And I feel that to this day with a lot of big names that I follow. When I go in their Facebook groups, if it could be somebody like Russell Brunson, who runs ClickFunnels, or John Lee Dumas, who I love, who has huge podcasts and a lot of other things, but they're present, they're available, and they're available a lot of times through these groups that they run. But you can directly, get in touch with these people, and oftentimes, most of the time, they're available and they'll answer any question I have, as well as to anybody else. I mean, to a point, obviously they sell stuff, but mostly they're very generous, like you're saying, because they're providing value to their audience. Therefore, people will eventually go back to them and buy stuff, because
100%.
It's a strange phenomenon in the internet age. The more you give away informationally, the more people perceive you as an expert, and the more value you can charge for your services, right? It's like,
100%.
Yeah, I saw that
that's the way it works.
Totally. I mean, I saw that you were a guest on one of the Gary V, Ask Gary V's or whatever. I've been on one of those as well. But, that guy is like the pinnacle of giving away his knowledge. He's written books, and it's like, here's the playbook. Here's what I do. But the fact is, most people can't do it. They don't have the chutzpah. They don't have the energy. They don't have the desire, maybe they don't have the time, whatever. So guess what? A lot of big companies end up going hire and get Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerMedia to do a bunch of their work for them, paying them $50,000 plus a month or whatever. Craziness, right? Even though they could just read the books and figure it out themselves, but they don't have the time or inclination. So it's crazy. But I also want to go back to your distant past when you worked at Microsoft, which is a amazing company. And you were in software engineering. So I know you have that, left brain, very analytical, process oriented, et cetera. What made you decide to leave the confines or comforts of Microsoft, being a software engineer at one of the top companies in the world, and get into real estate? First of all,
Yeah, I guess. Well, I think you set it up perfectly. Yeah, because it was a very comfortable job. And I tell folks when they ask me, "Do you ever miss Microsoft?" I go, "I miss it every on the 1st and 15th of the month is when I miss my job at Microsoft because I was making I don't want to say easy, but I had grown comfortable in that role, and
Yeah.
I was bringing in 6 figures, right? I was a well compensated a software engineer in the 21st century. I mean, it's like the new. I don't even know what to compare it against, but it's like the new doctor, the new lawyer, the new. It's a W-2 employee, but a pretty well compensated W-2 employee. You put in a lot of. It's a tough job. You put in a lot of hours to work. It's difficult to get into these companies, but once you're in, holy cow, man! You've kind of made it. My biggest problem with that, and my very first boss in Microsoft told me this when I first joined. I had no clue what he was talking about, but he said this to me. He says he was actually an entrepreneur on the side. He had a restaurant. He had a label. He was a serial entrepreneur and worked full time in Microsoft.
Wow. Okay.
Impressive, right? And he said, Gus, I don't know whether to be happy for you or to feel sorry for you because he could tell I had the bug. He was good. This guy knew. Because this is the best job I've ever as an employee. This is the best job I've ever had. And this is your first job, bro. And I can already tell you might be destined for bigger and better things. I thought he was. I had no clue what he was talking about. This was back in '04. He told me this. No clue, man. I said, man, I'm Microsoft. I've made it. I've arrived, right? I became a minor celebrity in my hometown in Mexico by joining Microsoft out of college. I was doing talks at high schools. I was like, this is the thing, man. My parents were through the roof, right? So I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've made it. Something happens to you, and I think everyone, folks can relate to this, in that quarter-century crisis in your mid-20s, maybe it happens to you later, maybe earlier, that you have to kind of ask yourself, is this what I want to do? Is this who I want to be? Everything that I've built up until now, is it me? Is it my parents? Is it my culture? Or is this what I want? I think everyone goes to some kind of, quarter life crisis like that. Some people ignore it. Some people, it shook me to my core, to be honest with you. And I was like, okay, why am I unsatisfied? Is it harder for me to get up in the morning and do this? I've made it. This is the best job ever. People would kill for this job. But I was getting less and less out of it every day. And the prospects of I became a senior engineer, I became a manager. I did all these things. I went through all the trainings, all the courses, all the things Microsoft had to offer. I traveled internationally. I did recruiting in other countries. I was a Microsoft guy, man. And I got, my wife got into real estate. She got licensed. I was more excited and I was more energetic about helping my wife on her business nights and weekends than I was at my 6-figure job.
Okay.
And everyone can treat something like that differently. They can, hey, I've got a good hobby. I'm set. This is my hobby now. I was 28, 29 years old. And I said, maybe this is something I should do. I should put more time into this. This is something I like the most. But I'll be honest with you and your audience. It took a really bad boss in Microsoft, number one. That always helps when someone is terrible with you. And it took my mom getting sick, getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 65 years old, 65, to tell me that, hey, all that time you think you've got in the future to do what you really want to do, when you're retired, when you can take things easy, the kids are out of the house, you might not have that time, right? That is not necessarily true. So all of these things, I know it's a lot there, Brandon. There's a lot of stuff in there, but all of these things kind of put together told me, you know what? I think I'd rather struggle and figure out that this is meant for me if I actually have another path than to have regrets when I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s, right? I'd rather give this a try. Let's see what happens. And I had the Microsoft house, the Microsoft lifestyle, the Microsoft car. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment with my wife, who was thrilled, by the way. She is more of a natural bred entrepreneur. She was thrilled to move into a 1-bedroom apartment. I sold one of my cars and I hunkered down. This was 2013. And I said, I'm going to give myself 6 months of runway, right? I can do this. Let's see what happens. And I haven't looked back since. It's been a roller coaster. Don't get me wrong. It's not a hockey stick, guys. This is not the way it works. But I let go of the mothership, right? And I've been surviving, right? So here I am.
That's such a great story. And what's amazing to me is if you go back and listen to the very last episode right before this one with David Phelps, he was a dentist and had a very similar experience, amazingly, where he had a daughter who got leukemia and it shook him to his core. And he's like, I can't be doing dentistry 80 hours a week right now. I need to spend time with my daughter and make sure she's going to survive, which she ultimately did, which is great. But he had also ironically dabbled in some real estate with his dad years before. So he kind of had a little side hustle. And when he quit dentistry, he went full bore into real estate. So here's two people in a row. If you're listening to the show regularly, you're saying maybe real estate's, there's something to it. So that being the case, man, thank you for sharing that story. Well, where can people learn more about you? Because obviously you've got a lot going on. You know a lot about Facebook. You know a lot about real estate. Where can people go and find out about you and your businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my website is a great place, powerisa.com. That's always a great place to reach out to us, or on Facebook. You can look for me. You can put my entire name in Facebook or just Power ISA, and I'll pop up. My free Facebook group will pop up. Jump in there. I love interacting with folks on there. I always tell people, if you have a question for me, I sometimes can't get to everyone that sends me a message on Facebook, but if you post in my group, I will 100% get to that, because that's always my first priority. So jump in there. I'd love to continue the conversation. If people have any questions, I want to contribute, have an interesting problem they want to solve. I love people bringing that stuff into my Facebook group. So that's a great place to reach me.
Excellent. Well, all these will be linked over at the show notes page at goforlaunch.io/show 123. PowerISA.com is the place to go, or go look him up on Facebook. Gustavo, thank you so much for being a guest on the Go for Launch podcast and for sharing all your great knowledge today.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.